Everything in the world is becoming a subscription service. Get ready to set aside a monthly allowance for air premium when you start getting charged for every single little bit of oxygen you breathe once they find a way to monetize that. It's just such a frustrating trend. It's worse than Tide Pods, honestly. But what's even worse about the subscription plague is when some services make it very difficult to cancel, making it a ton of hoops that you have to jump through and just a complete nuisance. And there's no industry worse about this than journalism. I don't know what's happened to journalism, but it is fucking atrocious. Not only like the quality of articles, but even just the ability to access articles. I've done this on stream innumerable times by this point, where if you go to an article without an ad block on, you can't see the article because it's just completely inundated with ads out the wazoo, with auto-playing banner ads, in paragraph ads that split everything up, and all you see is ads. And if you go on mobile, you're better off just closing your eyes. You'll get the same amount of information. It's terrible. It's absolute trash. It should be illegal. Like, I actually think there should be a limit to how many ads can be on these websites, because you can't even access the content. It's unacceptable. And some websites don't even allow you to see an article without your ad block being turned off, which is why I have it off when I stream, so I can at least access an article. If that's the word. I don't even know if I can use that word for it, because the only thing I'm accessing is a goddamn migraine looking at all these fucking stupid ads that are just, like, laser beaming my eyes. But if you do make the mistake of subscribing to some of these journalism outlets in order to actually read some of their trash, you become their bitch. You become their prisoner for life. You're trapped in there with them. Like, you can't escape. It's an actual Elden Ring DLC boss battle if you try and unsubscribe from some of these outlets. And the worst culprit by far that I can find is The Economist. I saw these screenshots today and learned that this is common practice for The Economist when you try and unsubscribe. There are so many posts on Twitter and Reddit, as well as just like other forums, that document how painful of an experience it is to unsubscribe from The Economist, because they make it as difficult and complicated and long as possible in the hopes that you'll just give up and just keep your subscription. It's so foul. That has to be illegal. It really does. But anyway, here's the live chat here, because in order to unsubscribe from The Economist, you have to talk to somebody there. You can't just automatically do it, which I feel should be a basic necessity if you're offering a subscription service. You should have a way to automatically unsubscribe and cancel it. I don't think you should have to communicate with anyone at the company you're unsubscribing to. But at The Economist, they clearly disagree. So here they say, "Hi Austin," with an exclamation point. Super excited to be having this conversation. Party poppers just went off the second this live chat was initiated. Sorry to hear that you wish to cancel your subscription. I'll certainly help you with your request. Allow me a minute. While I'm doing that, may I know how your day has been so far? To which they just say, "Fine, thanks." Short, sweet, to the point. No one really wants to be making small talk through the live chat here when they're on a mission to just unsubscribe, which should be a quick, easy process. They go, "I'm glad to know about your day, Austin." Yeah, pumping their fist. "I'm glad to know about it. I can see you have a monthly digital subscription with the renewal date of the 5th of July, 2024. May I know if there is any specific reason that you wish to unsubscribe with us, Austin?" To which he replies, "Ads." Pause. That's crazy. So you're paying to subscribe to this journalism outlet, and you're still getting ads. I was under the impression that if you subscribe to one of these outlets, you don't get ads anymore, and you actually get to read what they publish. That is shocking, that you're paying to still get ads on these fucking websites. That's like malware. These journalism outlets are like actually malware you're paying for, I suppose. That blows my mind. Thank you for the information. I'm sorry the inconvenience this may have caused. If I may know, how do you access the content, through app or website? I love that you have to take like a fucking exit survey here just to unsubscribe. Lovely. What a great process. Website. I'm not trying to be rude, but can I please just cancel without all these questions? Exactly. No one likes to be interrogated about wanting to unsubscribe from this service. It's ridiculous. Thank you for the information. Apologies for the hassle. I will help you with your request. Thank you for patiently waiting. To explain, The Economist ads are clever, witty, and thought-provoking. They're driving like this hard sell on like, well actually, these ads are incredible. We have innovative ads that use these things called jokes. Humor is actually one of the most important things of The Economist, because we believe if you're reading The Economist, we gotta put a smile on that face, and we do that through these extremely clever and witty ads. Oh my god, it's so fucking dystopian. They engage readers by making them feel part of an elite club. For instance, iconic ads imply that reading The Economist makes you smarter or more informed. Like most media outlets, The Economist relies on advertising revenue to sustain its operations. Ads help cover production costs, pay journalists, and maintain the quality of content. I have no doubt that customer service is trained to do this. It's not something they really want to be doing. But holy shit, that is such a crazy thing to attempt. Like, oh, you're leaving because of ads? Are you sure? Our ads are witty. Like, ads should be a reason you'd want to stay. Our ads are so good. Like, I can't believe you'd want to leave because of ads. That's kind of a stupid reason. Let me explain to you why you should stay. Because these ads are so fucking good. I also love trying to guilt them a little bit, like, well, ads are a necessary evil. Well, excuse me, not evil, a necessary blessing to our readers, because they help sustain the website and pay for all of these costs. Well, what the fuck is the point of the subscription service then? Like, you're double dipping. If you're subscribing to something here, you shouldn't be getting ads on top of it too, at least I don't think so. Or at the very least, non-intrusive ads. If you're still going to put ads to subscribers, it should at the very least rule out the possibility of getting in-video ads, banner ads, in-article ads, fucking audio blasting ads. Like, it should... If you're going to put ads into these subscriptions, I suppose, it should be the least intrusive ones, like at the very bottom of an article, perhaps. Like, it's stupid. This is really stupid. But above all, you should just let people be able to unsubscribe without this kind of hassle. This is absurd. So, it's not just, a live chat that you have to go through, though there is so many screenshots from people having almost identical experiences with the Economist live chat when trying to unsubscribe. There's also been cases where they kind of require you to call if you don't want to wait in a live chat queue. So your options are either call The Economist or go through this song and dance with live chat. Like, that's so inefficient and just a complete waste of time. And it's on purpose, because like I said, the idea is, if you make it a long, tedious process, most people, or not most people, some people will probably just be like, okay, fuck it, I'll just keep subscribing and I'll occasionally read this, I suppose. Like, it's just one of those things like a gym membership. Gym memberships are notorious for this, where if you try and cancel a gym membership, they require you to go in there in person in some places in order to cancel it, and for a lot of people that makes it a lot more inconvenient, so they end up pushing it and procrastinating, so they end up paying for it longer than they planned on. It's that same practice here from The Economist, but worse, because now you have to directly be interacting with and being guilted by and getting fucking, like, car salesmen on by their representatives at The Economist. It's unacceptable. Now let's take a closer peek here at the process. Cancel your subscription. We're sorry to hear that you would like to cancel your subscription. Best way to get in contact with us is through our live chat service, which is open 24/7 and directs you to that service. Why do you have to get in contact with them? Why not just offer like an automatic cancellation service as opposed to a live chat one? I think that's a little much, but whatever. Alternatively, if you don't want to wait there, you can find some phone numbers with a dedicated service center that will be happy to assist you. So you get to contact someone directly who will be giving you these sales pitches as you're trying to leave the service. And if you look to the right there, you can see the live chat that this user has started. Before I process your account, I would love to tell you about the Espresso app. The Espresso app from The Economist, which is a slimmed-down version of The Economist, offers a condensed experience which you can fully personalize to what you enjoy. It's super popular for people with less time on their hands. You can stay connected to the content while commuting, running, or doing your grocery shopping, and you have access to another free trial. It costs $12.90 for the month, or $129 per year. Sorry, it's a little blurry there, I couldn't read that. So they're trying to unsubscribe from The Economist, and while they're trying to process that request, they're trying to pitch them on another service from The Economist. An app that does the same fucking thing, but in a different way. Who the fuck thinks that's a good idea? Oh, I see you want to leave The Economist. Well, have you thought of downloading The Economist app? Our partner companion app? Well, here's why you should do it, and here's the cost for doing it. Would you like me to sign you up? I can do that real quick while I'm processing your unsubscribe request. It's a standalone app which you will have to download from your Play Store or App Store and use separately. I can switch you to the free trial Espresso today. This offer will reduce your payment from $29.90. Jesus Christ, it's just ridiculous. I can't even keep reading it. It's so absurd. Anyway, I'm not going to keep ranting about this. You get the point. If you're offering a subscription service, offer an easy, convenient way to cancel it. That's it. That should be a actual law. That if you have that, you must also have a way of getting rid of it easily without it being a complete fucking nuisance. That's really about it. Every single day there's been a new jump scare of crazy shit happening somewhere in the world, and every time I fire on the internet, it feels like I'm trapped in a bad fan fiction written on DeviantArt. It's just so much, and I've been trying to keep my finger on the pulse of everything, and it's overwhelming. I feel like a cold turkey being dunked in a deep fat fryer. I'm about to explode right now. But I wanted to make this video going over all those topics because I keep getting asked about it. I've become somewhat of a cum dumpster for drama, so I of course have been keeping up with most things going on, so let's just go over all of it here, at least to some degree. So slap on your snorkel because we're diving into the deep end. I want to start with the Balenciaga situation. Balenciaga is a high fashion brand that I'm sure all of you have heard of at least in passing before. And they recently ran a really disturbing ad campaign where they had a photo shoot involving children holding their favorite toys, but those toys, in some cases, were a plush teddy bear in BDSM gear. There were some other awful ones as well, but that's the one that stood out to most people because it was actual BDSM gear, and also a little girl was surrounded by like wine glasses and a spiked dog bowl. It's fucking awful stuff. I don't know who in their right mind came up with this idea or how they okayed this. They must have brought Jeffrey Epstein back with necromancy and asked him for some input on their next ad campaign, because this is bafflingly awful. And Balenciaga put out a pretty bizarre statement about it by making the claim that kids were never even supposed to be involved in that photo shoot with the BDSM bears. But that seems provably false because the photographer who took the pictures has an entire career out of doing that in a very different way. So this photographer goes around the world, takes pictures of kids with their favorite toys out, and that seems to be what they did here for Balenciaga, but the toys they made the kids put out were the BDSM bears, the spiked bowl, and shit like that. The photographer, Galimberti, also came out and said that he had no say whatsoever in the items that were displayed or anything. He was just instructed to go to set and take the pictures in his signature style. So it seems it was a Balenciaga decision, not a him decision. From what I can tell, the photographer takes these pictures of kids and their toys, and it's supposed to be like a wholesome thing, but with Balenciaga, they completely bastardized that and turned it into something very fucking different. So their claim that kids weren't supposed to be there doesn't make any sense considering all of these factors. But this was only the tip of the iceberg, because after this happened, people dug a bit deeper into their 2023 spring catalog, and they found this picture. This is an advertisement for a Balenciaga purse, and why is it important? Well, all of those papers that look like a tornado just hit and they're thrown all over the place aren't visible except for one. And if you zoom in on that picture, you can see that it's a 2008 Supreme Court case involving child pornography. And I want to shout out Mudahar here because he did a great job covering all of this, so if you want a deeper look into this whole situation, I highly recommend going to his channel, Some Ordinary Gamers. And that piece of paper that's visible in the shot is all about this case right here, which focused on child pornography as well as like promotion and advertising, shit like that. It's a very weird thing to have in a Balenciaga ad, especially when coupled with their last photo shoot using those little girls. So obviously these two things together made people very upset and very concerned with Balenciaga, like why the fuck is this happening? And Balenciaga responded by suing the ad company that ran the purse one that had the child porn document, calling it extraordinarily reckless and looking for $25 million after the damage that the photos have done to their brand. Now, Balenciaga certainly isn't blameless here. Like, Balenciaga didn't just pass these things off to the ad firm here and let them run wild, Hulkmania running wild on their brand without any say-so from Balenciaga. There's no shot. They wouldn't just let them make their own shit and then publish it without Balenciaga ever coming through and approving it. They had to thoroughly go through these things, I imagine, in order to give it the green light. Is it possible with the purse one that they didn't bother to look at that document that was showing? Maybe, but that's still Balenciaga bears a lot of blame there. Take more time to make sure you haven't just been bamboozled by this ad company. And in the other case with the photo shoots involving the children, Balenciaga seems to be the one that was behind that and then just brought a photographer on to take the pictures. Like, that one's entirely on them. So, with that in mind, it's kind of easy to see why people connect the dots that Balenciaga is, for some reason, trying to promote their brand using children in a very inappropriate manner. So that's kind of the gist on that situation, and I'm going to just go ahead and move on to the next one. But again, if you want more information on it, I do think Mudahar from Some Ordinary Gamers does a great breakdown. But moving on to the next one, this one isn't nearly as serious. The new Mario trailer dropped, and everyone asks me what I think of Chris Pratt's voice. But before I get into that, I'll go ahead and address the Christmas tree being absent in the background. Io is obsessed with eating the branches, which of course is not good for a cat's digestive system. So I've had to remove the tree because she keeps trying to devour it, and trying to steal Christmas like the Grinch here, because she just really likes the little branches on it. So that's why that's not there. And yeah, just want to clear that up. But back to Mario. Trailer dropped, and a lot of people were debating, does Chris Pratt's voice suck ass as Mario? And people have been asking me what I think, so I'll just go ahead and give my opinion on it. I don't think Chris Pratt would have been a horrible fit if he put more effort into it. It really feels like he just phoned in his whole performance, at least based on this trailer. Of course, the full movie could come out and it could blow me away, I guess. But in this trailer, it feels like he's not even trying. Like, half the times, it sounds like he's delivering his lines while he's about to pass out from Xanax. Like, it doesn't really seem like he's giving it his best. Whereas Jack Black as Bowser, I thought fucking crushed it. I think Jack Black was a great casting choice for Bowser. Chris Pratt, I'm definitely not sold on. It doesn't really seem like he's trying. I did, however, watch all of the other languages for this trailer, and I think the best one is the French dub. The French voice actor for Mario, I thought, really went after it and did a great job. But yeah, Chris Pratt, I don't think is really getting the job done for Mario and doing it justice. Of course, you can disagree with me. It's not that big of a deal. I just figured I'd chime in on it. And since we're already on the topic of Nintendo, I'll go ahead and give a shocking update there. Nintendo released a patch for the new Pokemon Scarlet Violet, and they even addressed how awful and unacceptable the performance is of the game, saying that they want to make it better and will make it better, which I nearly shit my pants. I almost fucking flew out of my chair when I read that Nintendo actually acknowledged how awful the state of the game is from a performance perspective. Now, I've said I do like the gameplay of the game, and I understand a lot of people do, but the performance is still unacceptable. Running at 2 frames per second most of the time and having so many bugs and glitches and so many issues, it's definitely not a $60 game with polish. And Nintendo actually acknowledging that is crazy. But one thing they've failed to acknowledge is the shutting down of the Smash World Tour, which they did a little over 24 hours ago, coming up on 48 hours actually. Shutting down one of the biggest Smash Brothers circuit that's ever happened, only a couple weeks before it was finally about to wrap up. Nintendo hasn't said anything about that, and nor has Panda, or Alan from Panda, who seemed to have been the puppet master behind this entire evil scheme. None of them have come forward with anything to explain it or give their side of the story, so we're all still waiting on bated breath to see their perspective, but for now it's just radio silence, seeming like all of Panda all at once just evacuated the office to go into hiding, like a fucking rapture hit Panda's organization headquarters, because still nothing from them. I feel like they should address it as quickly as possible, but I believe I heard from HBox that they're getting a very serious statement prepared with like a legal team and everything. For those that don't know, I'll give you a brief recap. I made a video on it yesterday, but I'll just give you like the cliff notes. Smash World Tour, biggest tournament, biggest circuit that's ever been held for Smash Brothers professional players. It was about to wrap up. The night before Thanksgiving, Nintendo gave them notice that they can't do it anymore. It's being shut down. Smash World Tour had been in communication with Nintendo directly through the entire duration of the tournament, so this really came out of nowhere. And then it was revealed with the statement from Smash World Tour that it seems more like Panda Cup, the Panda Cup, which was a competing circuit, had a very strong role to play in this shutdown of their tournament. Panda is led by Alan, who is the head of Panda, and it seems like he had been having a history of going around and trying to scare other tournaments into joining the Panda Cup, and if they refused, he started making threats about getting Nintendo to shut them down. This has been confirmed by more than just the Smash World Tour organizers. It's been confirmed by other reputable organizers as well about Alan's behavior. So we really do need a statement from them to talk about their side about this situation, but we don't have it yet. Now, there have been a couple of other big things going on, but I haven't had the chance to really spread the cheeks and get to the bottom of those stories, so I'm going to be doing some more research on those and probably make videos about it later on. really the last topic that I want to quickly touch on is the Liver King, who I made a video about yesterday as well. The Liver King, giant fitness influencer, has a lot of businesses, claims to make over $100 million a year based on those businesses, and has always claimed that his physique is naturally obtained, but emails leaked that show that he actually cycles a lot of like HGH and shit like that. So not natty at all, it appears. He still hasn't come forward. He is still actively posting and ignoring it. I believe he still only made that one statement I talked about yesterday where he says he'd like to talk about a complicated issue, referring to this, on podcasts. So he still hasn't been on any yet, but I am excited to see how he explains this, because he's already lost the chance to deny it. He didn't say those emails were fake. He said that they highlight a complicated issue. So it seems like he's going to try and tackle these things head on and go over it. So I'm curious to see what that's going to look like, but we don't have any developments there either. So this is most things going on in the world at the moment, and I just wanted to get all of it out in one video so that way people stop asking me about all of these individual things. So yeah, this is the giant stew of all of those topics. That's about it. See ya. You all know me. I'm not a big believer in the paranormal. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, gnomes, Wi-Fi, all just a bunch of horseradish if you ask me. And you know what else I didn't believe in until recently? One Piece being good. But now everything I thought I knew is crumbling around me, because I am actually, finally, enjoying One Piece. After 2 years of committing time to watching this to see if I'll ever enjoy it. I just finished Water 7 and Innie's Lobby, and I actually really liked those arcs. Now, typically this is a video I would post on my second channel, Moist Charlie Clips, because that's where I've been updating people on my One Piece progress, and it's also just a channel where I've been posting a bunch of other weird shit, so go subscribe to that channel, it'll make you more attractive. But the reason I decided not to put it on that channel this time is because this is such a pivotal moment in my anime viewing career. This is the biggest anime ever made, and biggest manga by extension, and I've never liked it. I've always shouted bah humbug about all the people going crazy about how good One Piece is. But now, after 300-something episodes, I'm finally enjoying it. I'd given One Piece so many chances over the years to really grip me, and it never has, so I always thought that everyone that was preaching the gospel of One Piece being the best fiction ever produced, I thought they were all just a bunch of lunatics, like solar panel scammers just making up lies. You know, I thought that whole concept that One Piece was anything more than dog shit was more made up than the boogeyman. But I decided about 2 years ago now to really buckle down, grit my teeth, and just catch up on One Piece to see if it ever actually gets good. I was willing to subject myself to some torture with early One Piece seasons in order to see if the grass was ever greener on the other side when we finally reached, like, episode 250. There's a very popular meme about, like, no bro, you have to give it like 9 seasons before the show gets good. You have to watch, 400 episodes before you start to like it. You just have to invest the time in it to really get the payoff. And my god, that couldn't be more true for One Piece. It took me 300 episodes to finally get to this point. That's not exactly, that's not nothing. That's a long time spent of not enjoying something before you start liking it. Eating vegetables before you finally get to the main course that you wanted to eat. So I understand why people don't usually subscribe to that belief, like it's not worth investing that much time into a show you don't even like until like 300 episodes in, where you get like hypnotized into liking it maybe. I get it. But for One Piece, you know what? I'll just say it's been worth it. I'm not conceding on any of the points I ever made about the previous seasons prior to Water 7, because I still think the pacing was glacial and bad. The outright refusal to actually kill any characters outside of flashbacks was cowardly and takes a lot of the wind out of the sails of stakes when it comes to the show, as well as a couple of other arguments I've made a lot in the past that I don't need to just regurgitate here. Up until this point, there wasn't a whole lot I liked about it, other than a couple of characters like Zoro and Chopper, and I did like the Alabasta arc overall, but on the whole, wasn't really feeling One Piece. I wasn't exactly pumping my fist getting excited for it. It was a show that literally was a sleep aid. Like, this was the cure for insomnia for the first 240 episodes. Like, it was so goddamn boring and generic. I wasn't enjoying it. But then, once I got to Water 7, things really started to turn up. Like a lot of people said. Most people, actually, when I was talking about this on stream across my journey, always said that you have to at least get to Water 7 before it gets really good. And I can't fucking believe it, but they were right. It actually is good. So, I'm not just going to repeat all of the things I've said on my second channel about One Piece so far with my updates, so I'll just give you the brief cliff notes. I like some of the characters like Zoro and Chopper. I cannot stand Luffy. He's my least favorite character, and now after finishing Enies Lobby, he is still my least favorite character. This fucking goober only has 2 modes. It's stupid, and then stupid and hungry. And then I guess a third mode when he's fighting. And then he's, you know, at least he's not being annoying. Like, he's just a fucking grating character, and as I understand it, you either love or hate him. And unfortunately, I'm on the hate him side. I do not like him. He is very, very annoying, and I get that that's his whole character trait, but so far he has not evolved past that or developed past it at all. And I can never forgive this show for what it did during Skypiea, where it just put Luffy in the belly of a giant snake, and he stayed there for like 30 fucking episodes straight, and just was like left in stupid juice and like in this trance of idiot moron mode, where he just kept like punching walls, and he's like, oh, this is such a weird cave. Man, am I ever gonna leave this weird cave? Such a weird cave. Like, he himself made Skypiea almost unwatchable, because he is just a perpetual stupid character. And that's just not that fun to watch, especially when it holds everything back. A lot of the problems are caused because Luffy is stupid, and I think that's just a weak plot point that drives things forward, or at least leading up to Water 7 and Enies Lobby. There was a lot of moments where Luffy was literally the reason things went bad, because he is dumb. Like, he is just legitimately dumb, and that's it. Like, he's just stupid. Being stuck in the belly of a snake for so long is beyond frustrating to watch, because it just keeps repeating itself. Ah, this is a weird cave. God, this cave is so weird. Gum Gum Gatling. Ah, these cave walls are so big. Cave is weird. And then he's finally freed from the snake at the very fucking end. He's like, oh, you guys came into the weird cave to save me? They're like, Luffy, it's a snake. What do you mean it's a snake? It's a cave. It's just so fucking, it's so lame. It's so lame. I cannot stand Luffy as a character. There's only like maybe 3 or 4 moments where he's been serious, and even then, he's still a bit of a goofball. And that's, I don't know, I just don't really like that kind of character trait hammered in non-stop. But all the other characters so far, for the most part, I do like, with Zoro and Chopper being my favorite. Zoro, because he's just a perpetual badass, and he is usually always serious, and when he's not, it's actually kind of rewarding to see him lighten up. And Chopper, because I actually really like Chopper's backstory. So far, he's one of the few characters that got a lot of attention given to them prior to Water 7, of course. And I liked that. I liked everything about his motivation, his drive, where he's come from, and how he grows. Now, we get to Water 7, and every character is getting a lot more to them, especially Nico Robin, the most mysterious of the crew, and there's a lot of drama that happens with Usopp leaving the crew after the Going Merry is deemed insalvageable. They can't, you know, revive her. They couldn't get the, you know, the paddles out and fucking shock it back. It was kaput. You know, it's dead. And Usopp he's not having it. He thinks Luffy and the crew gave up on the Going Merry too early, so Usopp leaves the crew after challenging Luffy to a duel, and it's very emotional. It's very emotional. I didn't like Usopp that much until Water 7. Now I really like Usopp, and by extension his alter ego, Sniper King. Like, everything I complained about up until Water 7, they are directly addressing and making better, except Luffy, so I'm getting excited here. The fights are better. I mean, I did like the Eniru fight from the Skypiea arc, even though Skypiea as a whole absolutely blew filthy fucking ass. But the Eniru fight at the end I thought was fantastic. And now we're seeing a lot more great fights in these 2 arcs. So, I don't know, I've just been really liking it a lot more. Though most of my complaints are still here. I still fucking hate how nobody dies. Nobody dies in this show outside of a flashback. Only when they're doing flashbacks do they have deaths so far. There's no real integral character deaths or really emotional moments so far. The biggest culprit, the biggest crime, and this was an affront to God when it comes to bad writing, is in the Alabasta arc when Pell takes like the nuclear bomb that's about to blow up Alabasta, flies it up into the sunset in order to sacrifice himself, a noble sacrifice, completing his character arc perfectly, and he does that, bomb blows up, everyone's expecting Pell to be dead because he just ate a goddamn nuclear bomb for breakfast, but then he's not dead. He's still alive. He still lives because they don't kill anyone off in this fucking show. And I think that's such a misstep. All of the big bad villains are still alive. Luffy just knocks them unconscious like it's a Pokemon fight. That is underwhelming. I think that's very underwhelming, especially for the Pirate King
you know, the kid who wants to be the Pirate King, the crew, the Pirate Hunter, Zoro, like, it's just underwhelming. So that complaint is still here even after Enies Lobby. But I know there are character deaths coming up. I've been spoiled, obviously, on where the show goes because Tiana watched all of it in a short period of time, so I saw a lot of it. And I know there are character deaths that come up, but even still, as of right now, it's just lackluster. Because I always know, no matter what, they're not going to kill off even minor characters, even characters that don't have a whole lot to contribute. Nothing really happens to them. So that always grinds my ass grease. Like, I really do still have an issue with that, pulling all of these punches when it would be a lot more impactful to the story if they would just commit to killing some characters that obviously were being set up for something like that. But anyway, that's probably still my biggest complaint. But overall, Water 7 and Enies Lobby have done wonders for making this show enjoyable. The villains are much more interesting here. It's introducing a ton of new, deeper underlying issues that are going on in the world around them, even outside of the immediate problems. The overarching plot continues to get bigger in the scale and scope of it, so it's just finally being fucking interesting, and not just a slog or a tedious chore to get through. The reason it's taken me 2 years to even get this far into the show is because I would constantly fall asleep throughout these episodes. So it would take me like a month, 2 months, or even sometimes 3 months to finish a single episode because every time I'd put it on, it would put me to sleep. It was more effective than NyQuil. Like, some of these episodes in the other arcs were just so meaningless and so boring. Like, I wasn't invested in it. And there is still some of those sins committed even in this arc, in these two arcs. Like, for example, in the middle of very high-stakes stuff, when they're working to get Nico Robin back on the crew after learning the truth about why she betrayed them, in the middle of that, there is, I think it's 4 episodes of just flashback filler. In the middle of, like, this extremely important moment with Nico Robin opening up about her past, you know, wanting to come back to the Straw Hats but can't because of the Buster order. And during this, like, as they're squaring off with all of the bad guys and with Nico there as well, they just, like, fucking shoehorn in, like, 4 filler episodes. Why? What, like in the middle of very important stuff. At least I think it was at that part. I'm already getting a little foggy on exactly when those flashback fillers come in, but I'm pretty sure it's there. And it's just, you know, it's unnecessary. It doesn't add anything. All it does is ruin, once again, the pacing and detract from the enjoyment. So there are still those moments here, even in what I consider to be the best arcs of the show so far, but they're much lesser and a lot less egregious. So overall, I just like the direction Water 7 and Enies Lobby is taking the show. I'm finally starting to see how this opens up into something very special for the first time. So yeah, I'm finally liking One Piece. I know this isn't the most, like, detailed Moist Meter review breakdown of Water 7 and Enies Lobby, but I don't really think that's necessary. All of you watching this have probably already formed your opinions about One Piece, and there's not a whole lot I can do to, like, change your mind. All I can speak to is what I've found not enjoyable versus enjoyable. And right now, Water 7 and Enies Lobby is exactly what I'm looking for from a show like One Piece. So I'm hoping the coming arcs continue that energy and keep that momentum pumping. So yeah, finally liking One Piece. That's about it. So yeah.
You all know I'm a big fan of conspiracy theories, as long as they're harmless, fun ones, such as, you know, reptilians controlling the world, talking about, like, zippers on the sides of some powerful people's necks that reveal a giant lizard underneath the human skin suit. Flat Earth is always a classic fun one to play with. But then there's they're very dangerous ones, and I think one of them that's really taking a huge upswing in the amount of people that believe it is 5G causing the coronavirus. A month ago, this was a fucking joke across the entire internet. But now, in the last month, everyone's quarantined, locked down, desperate, bored, and I think they're getting fucking dumber. Because there's so many people that are now unironically believing 5G is the cause of coronavirus that I actually can't believe it. These same people probably believe chocolate milk comes from brown cows. It takes mere minutes of research outside of Facebook anti-vax groups, actual scientific research. It takes only minutes to immediately disprove that and find there's no connection between 5G towers and coronavirus. That shouldn't be shocking to the majority of people, but to some people, I'm speaking blasphemy. I am a puppet of the Illuminati to some people for saying that, because these people see the truth. These high school dropouts that failed every fucking course, no, they're the ones that understand the 5G connection to coronavirus. Not the scientists, not the experts. These fucking limp-dicked fucking idiots sitting in their basement
for fear that the government's listening to them through their alarm clock, so they have a tinfoil hat and condom on. Those are the real intellectuals. And they're spreading this kind of shit on the internet, which is laughable and it's fun to make fun of. But now they're starting to set cell phone towers on fire? It's fucking crazy. It's getting actually dangerous now. So, how did this start? I'm not here to be your fucking science professor, so I'm not going to tackle every angle of this. I'm just going to point out the most common and the most obvious fallacies in this logic of 5G being the coronavirus culprit, the one that's really controlling it all, and how the government, big brothers, got us under their thumb. They don't want us to see the earth is really flat, so they're using coronavirus to keep us inside and erect more 5G towers. We'll start with the origin of this conspiracy, at least in regards to coronavirus. In China, Wuhan, a 5G tower was rolled out at the end of 2019, so just a little bit before coronavirus broke out, and people are attributing the tower as the cause. That is ground zero of coronavirus. The tower caused it. That's pretty much where that logic ends. And then as it spreads to the United States, they're saying the 5G towers are the cause of coronavirus in the US. Not because it's contagious through, spreading and being around people, but because the towers themselves are emitting too much radiation and it's causing the coronavirus. And the coronavirus itself isn't even real. It's a made-up hoax to cover for radiation poisoning. I've spent a few hours researching the conspiracy theory and looking around what everyone says on Twitter in these circles that truly believe this stuff, and they seem to all agree that coronavirus itself isn't real. What it is just radiation sickness, because the symptoms of radiation sickness are similar to those that are being reported with coronavirus. So that's basically the whole conspiracy in a nutshell. And it is fucking ridiculous. So 5G towers have existed in the US since early 2019. While the idea of 5G has existed much longer, and most people seem to think we've had 5G for longer, we really didn't start getting 5G until early 2019 with actual towers and everything being built around the US. Those aren't make-believe. That's not like Tooth Fairy shit. It's real. You can go see those 5G towers in the real world, in person. It's not smoke and mirrors, no magic tricks. That shit is there, and it has been there since 2019. There were no cases of coronavirus in the US throughout all of 2019. And there were no cases of coronavirus in the US until the China incident where coronavirus started to explode. And then, you know how the story goes from there. It spread throughout the entire world. But they seem to think that it's not actually spreading from human to human contact. It's being transmitted via the beams from the towers of 5G. That seems to be their accepted belief. I'm going to immediately poke a hole in that. Israel has 7,400 cases of coronavirus with 39 dead. Israel has no 5G towers. None. So how the fuck can that happen by this logic? Some enlightened Twitter users will be quick to point out that the radiation sickness was transferred. Someone who was infected by a tower in the US or some other part of the world traveled to Israel and started spreading it that way. Well, that's impossible via your radiation sickness hypothesis, because radiation sickness isn't contagious. You watched Chernobyl on HBO and you think you understand everything there is to know about radiation. Well, I'll tell you one thing Chernobyl got wrong. You are not some kind of walking fucking virus with radiation sickness. If someone you know has radiation sickness, they cannot transfer that onto you. If their entire fucking clothes, their entire wardrobe is covered in dense radiation and they try and suffocate you with that, maybe. But as a whole, radiation sickness itself is not contagious. So you'd have to immediately throw out the radiation sickness hypothesis because it wouldn't be able to spread. It'd have to be coronavirus, which does exist and is very, very contagious, which is why people are being ordered to stay inside. If it was radiation poisoning, radiation sickness, it wouldn't matter if you were around 1,000 people. No one is going to catch that from you. It's easy to poke 1,000 different holes into this 5G coronavirus conspiracy. You can turn this shit into a fucking pincushion because it is so weak. But so many people still believe it just because I think they want to. They want to believe it's something bigger, like some grand conspiracy, just the man trying to keep them down or something. It's so silly. If you look into it yourself, it's going to be hard not to laugh at it because the leaps and these conclusions they draw are so nonsensical. It's ridiculous. I just picked two quick ones to point out because those are the two most obvious ones that they have really no answer for that I've seen. And I'm sure there's going to be some comments on the video that immediately disregard shit and still try and promote the idea that 5G coronavirus thing is real, which is just pathetic. But anyway, I know I don't need to poke holes in it because it's already so goddamn silly if you even look at it for a second. I don't like having to be your fucking science teacher here,
I graduated from university with a human sciences degree, so I do understand a lot of this stuff. Granted, I'm not as brushed up on the whole field as I used to be, because, I mean, I barely fucking use that knowledge anymore. But I do get it, and I understand where this fear comes from. You're locked inside, you're desperate, you're looking for answers, and you have no idea what else to turn to. So Twitter has this giant fucking platform full of lunatics that seem to believe this and are promoting it as a real thing. And since you're constantly on Twitter with nothing else to do besides jerk off and read garbage Twitter posts, you see this and you start to accept it. I get it, and I'm not blaming those people. But it is a very dangerous thing to just blindly follow this shit with no science and not doing any research on it at all. Now, what I do find interesting is there is a community of real scientists that are apprehensive about 5G's implementation and the future of 5G and what health implications it could have down the line. The conspiracy side of things is using this to promote the idea that scientists are afraid of it, and they think that the scientists believe that it caused coronavirus. That couldn't be further from the truth. None of those scientists that are afraid of 5G's implications down the line have said anything about it being coronavirus related, which is what I'm focusing on. The scientists' main concern is they haven't been able to study the long-term health effects of what 5G could do in the future. There's nothing about coronavirus or anything like that. This community just wants a little more research done on 5G before it's implemented, and they think it's perhaps a bit rushed. It has nothing to do with the fucking scientists thinking that it's the cause of coronavirus. Again, this isn't a small community either. If you look up any 5G video on YouTube right now, it's overwhelmingly disliked with thousands of comments saying, "This is bullshit, don't trust them, rise up sheeple, it's time we take back our lives, don't let them control our minds, you know, don't let anyone tell you what to believe," as they're being told what to believe by somebody else. You know, I'm all for questioning the media and questioning sources and doing a lot of research to form your opinions, but I find it seriously hypocritical how this community keeps saying, "Don't trust anyone, but trust me." It makes no sense. Like, don't listen to anyone, don't let anyone tell you what to believe, as they're being told what to believe by some dude in his shit-stained underwear in a chat room somewhere. It's fucking silly. It's very hypocritical. Again, I'm all for questioning things you see in the media and online. I think that is the most healthy thing you can do. But when you start just entering an echo chamber and only looking up things that support what you want to believe, you're not getting anywhere and you're only making the problem worse. Now, I'm only focusing on the coronavirus aspect of this conspiracy theory. It goes much deeper with 5G. 5G itself is a rabbit hole for a crazy amount of conspiracies, especially on YouTube. For some reason, it seems a lot of YouTubers and YouTube commenters really believe that 5G is this ultimate boogeyman, like this final boss that's holding back the human species. Like, 5G is the one that's keeping us from growing wings and opening our third eye. It's weird. I don't know why everyone's latched on to 5G as this mega evil mastermind shit, but they have. But in regards to coronavirus, which is all I want to focus on, there is absolutely no possible way that 5G has caused coronavirus. You can just look at data, like real time, because it's only been a couple of months. You can see that 5G had no role to play. You can pretty much trace where coronavirus started in each area that it's in. It's right there at your fucking fingertips. You only need to look for a second in real, actual fucking sources outside of bad Twitter shitposts, anti-vax Facebook soccer mom groups. Just do real fucking research and form your own opinions. But this one is very silly, and lighting 5G cell phone towers on fire isn't doing anyone any good. You're causing more damage with the chemicals you put into the air from fucking burning that thing than the 5G rays, the beams. This fear of cell phones and networking has existed for as long as communication has, and it's always been ridiculous. It's always been silly and laughable, but Twitter is the place that now, no matter how outlandish and how ridiculous a belief is, it's going to blow up and it's going to have a big movement behind it. It doesn't matter what it is. Like on Twitter, for example, there's whole communities of people that fuck dogs. Like this community that would never find a home anywhere finds a home on Twitter, and there's thousands of them. There's pages on Twitter that actively talk about fucking their dog and have tens of thousands of followers that all support that and do the same thing. It's absolutely fucking disgusting. So then you'll have these people that believe that cell phones are the evil, dangerous thing, and you'll have people that just want to feel like they're smarter than everyone else. You know, they're the ones that saw the truth, peeked behind the curtains and got the truth. So they'll believe these things, and they'll spread it on Twitter, and then people that are gullible, bored, or just susceptible to misinformation start believing it, start getting real riled up, and then it leads to just absolute chaos, and that leads to setting a 5G tower on fire for no fucking reason. It's just crazy shit. I don't get why people are targeting 5G for coronavirus specifically, because there's really nothing there. The only piece of evidence that's even remotely true
is that there was a 5G tower built in Wuhan a couple months before coronavirus outbreak. There's another thing I see tossed around how they... This one's just so fucking stupid. This community plotted out every major pandemic or every major flu and correlated it to mobile towers and networking, as if that has any correlation at all. So they have like the Spanish flu and then world's first prototype mobile network. Coincidence? No, I don't think so. And there's like 6 of these and it says 6 coincidences? That's impossible. It's just so fucking stupid. You can go through history and correlate every single one of those pandemics or flus to something else too. You know, peanut butter sandwiches invented in 1914. 4 years later, Spanish flu. Interesting. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches start getting packaged in the, you know, the next one. It's just dumb. This is just such fucking terrible research and evidence. And yet people are believing it at face value, probably just out of boredom from quarantine. But I just wanted to talk about it because it's got me fucking fired up because this shit is just wacky. This isn't the same kind of fun to laugh at conspiracy theory like flat earth and all that. This one has people believing it's fine for them to go outside and just spread fucking shit all over the place, especially in a time of pandemic like this, because they're convinced they know the truth that it's the cell phone towers, not coronavirus, so then it has them hurting everyone around them. I think it's just terrible. So I just wanted to talk about that. That's it. See ya. Yahoo Answers is a name that'll put a smile on the face of anyone who's been on the internet for a long time. Yahoo Answers is said to have existed before the internet was even created. Shit. Some speculate Yahoo Answers existed before the fucking Big Bang. Just to bring you up to speed on the lore, in case you don't know, it was a site that was used for people to ask questions and have the questions answered by members of the Yahoo community. I know hearing Yahoo and community in the same sentence is shocking, because that kind of thing doesn't fucking exist anymore. I can't believe the website is still even up, but for a while it was a very, very popular site, one of the most popular on the internet, so by having a forums where people could ask questions and have them answered, it was really popular. But it was also the most inefficient place to get answers ever. You would get nothing but the worst answers from the most unqualified people to answer your problems. It was the most unhelpful website ever created. I know these days Reddit has the reputation for giving shit advice on the internet, but it will never be as bad as Yahoo Answers was in that department. There was a time not too long ago where any question you typed into Google would bring up Yahoo Answers first, and you just roll your eyes and puke because the answers you would get were so remarkably awful that it just ruined your day. It's as if the only people who ever answered questions on that site were on the verge of an overdose, like they just popped 50 Xanax, cracked their knuckles. Alright, time to help somebody out. Go on there and just slam their fucking head on the keyboard, passing out, and then that'd be their response to the question. I've made videos going through Yahoo Answers shit before, as well as other viral videos that popped off covering these questions, such as like, how is Perginant formed in Curse of the Weggy board, which was people misspelling Ouija and misspelling pregnant. It's just like this horrible, not just misspelling those words, but the questions were some of the dumbest shit of all time. So the website's always been well known, and unfortunately on May 4th, they're shutting the site down for good. They're pulling the plug on it. They're taking it behind the barn and putting it down. And it's really fucking sad to see it go. It's been a staple on the internet for a long time. Even before I started making videos, I would go on Yahoo Answers, like on the school computer, and just read some of the goofy shit and giggle with my friends. It's always been a website that's been near and dear to my boners. Like, it's sad. Where are the people going to go to get answers to the important questions such as, I made Jesus-shaped pancakes and burnt them. Am I going to hell? The answer is obviously yes. This man has been condemned to hell for an eternal damnation. But this is a question he can't ask anywhere else. If he asks this on Reddit, he's just going to be hit by wubba lubba dub dubs. Like, this is the only place that this troubled young man can get an answer to this question and have that peace of mind to know that, yes, he's going straight to hell. It's just a shame because there are still people that use this site. In fact, I was on it just a moment ago and people are still asking some brain busters and asking some really important questions to help better their life. Is it okay to date a woman with a high IQ, 120 plus, if my IQ is around 80? The answer is no. You're too stupid for her. You're a fucking idiot compared to her, and you should not even be near her. You shouldn't even look at her, in fact. You probably make her sick. Your IQ is too low. How do I get rich? The answer: find something you are good at. Get the education/training necessary to perfect your skills. Work at it 60 to 80 hours a week for decades, and you will be rich.
Everything in life has some sort of price tag. If you're willing to pay that price, you get the reward, whether it is money or love. Classic Yahoo Answers with the absolute dog shit advice. You want to get rich? You start selling pictures of your feet on OnlyFans. How do you promote your OnlyFans feety pics? You post about it on Twitter. And how do you get traction on your Twitter? You try and capitalize on some outrage that's going on. It's a foolproof strategy to put money in your pocket. Today I got rejected 11 times at the mall. Why is this always me? Well, first of all, asking out 11 different people in a single mall outing, you're doing everything right. So it's not you, it's them. Clearly, society has trained the people that you're trying to ask out to not like a nice guy. So my advice to you would be, A, pump up those numbers. Asking out only 11 people, it's not enough. You're going to need to at least double, maybe even triple that in order to increase your chances. And you're going to want to change your entire persona. Stop being such a nice guy. Start smoking cigarettes, wear a leather jacket, maybe some studded boots and a studded belt and bracelets, and you should be good to go. After that, I think you're going to be finding a lot of success. You see, the more I go on the site today, the more I realize just how important this site is to people. There's people that need these answers. And goddammit, where are they going to find them once it goes down for good? I understand there's plenty of other places to get it, but nothing is reliable as Yahoo Answers. I mean, that's where you get the truth of things, you know? So it's fucking sad to see the site go. I'm probably going to be on there quite a bit, just trying to collect as many good questions as I can and just stockpile them somewhere so that way they're never lost to time. Yahoo Answers was truly something special, and it always will be. So yeah, I just wanted to just give a nice little goodbye to Yahoo Answers today, and thank you for your time on the internet. Thank you, Yahoo Answers, for everything you've given us. And that's about it. See ya.
Do you even realize how lucky you are to be alive right now? To exist at the same time as Concord. You are alive at a time that people will talk about for centuries to come. You get to witness the biggest failure in gaming. Not only the biggest failure in gaming, but undoubtedly one of the biggest failures in all of entertainment. PlayStation just announced that they're already shutting down Concord in 3 days from now. That's the doomsday for all 9 people still inhabiting that barren wasteland. The game didn't even survive 2 full weeks. I probably could have lasted longer on a deserted island with only fucking coconuts to satiate me. This game just barely squeaked over a week of life. And life is a term I'm using very loosely because this game was never alive to begin with. It was dead on arrival. 660 all-time peak, and even right now with this news that it's going to be shutting down, not even those 660 people bothered to flock to it to get like one last ride in there, one little ooh-rah before it sails off into the sunset. I imagine most of those players probably already refunded the game, because it was a $40 game that was a watered-down, worse version of all of its free counterparts that it was trying to suckle from the teats of. It was an embarrassing flop that everyone with eyes saw coming from a mile away, except for Sony, it seems. 8 years in development, millions upon millions of dollars in the shitter here, only for the game to exist for barely over a week. A loaf of bread lasts longer than Concord did, and they're pulling the plug on it already. It should have never even released in the first place. This was a complete waste of 8 years of time and money. It is rough. This is a harder flop than my cock under your mother's chin. I do not, and I said this last time, I do not know who this game was ever made for. Because the audience it tries to appeal to was never going to switch to this game because it's already $40, you've already lost that battle. Because all of the other games in that genre are free, and better. So it was a surprise to no one that when this game dropped, its player count sucked shit through a crazy straw. Nobody was asking for this. There wasn't a demand for it. There was no one lining up to purchase this. This was something nobody wanted, like a lump of coal for Christmas. It really is not a shocker that this game never breached 700 players. Its peak was 660. That is pathetic. That is laughable. If you go into like Steam dumpster diving, you can just throw a fucking dart at your computer monitor and whatever game it lands on that you've never heard of, like fucking Glorbus's Hemorrhoid Adventure, that probably had more than 660 players at some point. It is hard to find a game that had this little hype around it. Like, playing Concord was like going into an empty Burger King. This whole thing was just sad. And now they're already pulling the plug on it less than 2 weeks after it's been out. I also love the way they start their statement, Concord fans, as if any of those exist. You'd be more likely to find aliens than Concord fans. We've been listening closely to your feedback since the launch of Concord on PlayStation 5 and PC and want to thank everyone who has joined the journey aboard the North Star. You could have just sent all of them a DM. Like, there's not many of them. You could have easily reached them directly. Your support and the passionate community that has grown around the game has meant the world to us. I don't know where that community is, I'm going to be honest. The only passion I see in regards to Concord is people passionately shitting on it and laughing at it. Because it is a spectacle how badly this game flopped. However, while the many qualities of the experience resonated with players, we also recognize that other aspects of the game and our initial launch didn't land the way we'd intended. Therefore, at this time, we have decided to take the game offline beginning September 6, 2024, and explore options including those that will better reach our players. While we determine the best path ahead, Concord sales will cease immediately, and we'll begin to offer a full refund for all gamers who have purchased the game for PS5 or PC. If you purchase the game for PS5 from the PlayStation Store or PlayStation Direct, a refund will be issued back to your original payment method. It is exceptionally rare to see something fail to this degree. Millions upon millions of dollars invested in this project over the course of 8 years with a big team of people working on it. And they get like 30 grand in sales from PC. Relative to what they spent on this project, that $30,000 return is incomprehensibly tiny. They released a wet fart that will be talked about in economics courses, I think, for eons to come. To put that in perspective, that $30,000 they made on PC sales for Concord most likely don't even cover a year's worth of electricity bills for the office building that their employees work out of. I decided to look at a couple of numbers out of curiosity. So Firewalk has roughly 150 employees based on what I can find, and I can't find any information on the building they work out of, but let's just assume that they're working out of a mid-sized office building that's usually used for about 100 employees, and according to these numbers here, a business will spend about $1.44 per square foot on electricity and 30 cents per square foot on natural gas. So an annual cost for a mid-sized office building of 20,000 square feet, which is used for about 100 employees, will come out to $34.8K. This was developed for 8 years, and what they made on PC doesn't even cover 1 year's worth of just electricity and energy costs. What a fucking historic blunder. Now, I imagine a lot of the developers at Firewalk work remote, but even still, I imagine they have some kind of headquarters somewhere, and that building would not have even been able to keep the lights on with the $30,000 that this game made. So it never even came close to breaking a profit. It wasn't even in the same universe as the word profit. I can't think of anything else that has ever flopped this hard. This is just crazy. It's already getting the plug pulled after just 10 days. So, yeah, I am beyond surprised, because I thought they'd at least ride this as much as they could, like trying to update the game, like desperately trying to get some players to buy into it. Like, I thought this would go at least 6 months, like a full season or something of the game, but it didn't even make it like a full 2 weeks. It blows my mind. Like, I'm not surprised by how poorly it performed. I am surprised it performed this poorly, because even, like, no matter how bad a AAA game is, people will mindlessly buy it. Except when it comes to Concord. That is how little interest there was in a game like this. So, that's going to be a big lesson for the gaming industry, I think. Or at least it should be. It probably won't. They'll probably make like a Concord 2 in a year or so, because they most likely haven't learned anything valuable from this. But speaking of value, if you want something actually valuable, pick up Godslap. Issue 6 just dropped. That's right, we're moving into the new arc of Godslap, and issue 6 is out right now. Pick up a copy at badegg.co, there's a link in the description. And also, if you're thirsty, Goof Juice is always available, baby. gamersubs.gg/moist. Link also in the description. Best flavor of any beverage ever. You can sip on some Goof Juice while reading your Godslap and looking as Concord it gets taken off of life support. Now, what I do think should happen as a result of this public embarrassment that was Concord, the people that came up with the idea of making a hero shooter that's just the most derivative, generic, formulaic garbage, they are the ones that need to be held responsible the most. Those are the ones that should be fired. But we've seen time and time again that is never the case. When you reach a upper echelon position in an industry, you can only fail upwards. No matter how much money you lose, no matter how many times you stumble, fall, and cost the company greatly, you are always safe and only ever fail positively. Everyone underneath you gets punished. Like we saw this with John Risitiello at Unity. We just actually saw it with Suicide Squad. I just read the other day about how they're laying off a ton of QA testers, even though it's not like the QA testers were responsible for Suicide Squad being a dog shit game. The people that made it a live service game and all of the other terrible ideas, it's their fault, not the QA testers that were just making sure the game fucking functioned, yet they're the ones that are being punished. They're the ones that are getting spanked for it. It makes no sense. So in Concord's case, it shouldn't be just the people that coded the game. They had a project they were assigned to work on, they did their job. The game runs, the game is functional, it's a serviceable game, it's just not a good game, and it's a game nobody wanted. That is the problem of the people that brainstormed this, greenlight this, and then made the team work on it. So whoever came up with those ideas and pushed all this forward, those are the ones that are responsible for the tragedy that is Concord. It should have never existed in the first place. But yeah, anyway, RIP to Concord. That's about it. See ya.
If you've been on Twitter within the last 12 hours, you've already heard the massive news. LeafyIsHere is banned from YouTube. If Jesus Christ resurrected today, that would only be a side story, second place behind LeafyIsHere's termination. The response to the news has been split. There's a lot of people celebrating it as if their favorite football team just won the Super Bowl, and then there's people absolutely in fucking ruins, burning down their local high schools, refusing to eat, hunger strikes. I'm sure someone's gonna set themselves on fire like that monk a long time ago in protest. Shit has been absolutely wild. So let's peel apart these ass cheeks here and really dive in. So, in a nutshell, he was banned for bullying and targeted harassment. I think that's what they got him with. I think that's what they slapped him around with. I'm not entirely sure, but from everything I've read, that's what the charges against him were in the court of YouTube. So first of all, I don't think any content creators should be celebrating Leafy's channel termination. Even if you absolutely hate Leafy, hate everything about him, have wet dreams where he's being sent away to jail for life in an isolation chamber, you still shouldn't be happy that he got banned this way, because to my understanding, he had 0 strikes on his account before it was completely just fucking eradicated from existence. And if it can happen to a 5 million subscriber channel, it can happen to any channel. It happened overnight, like the fucking Tooth Fairy came in out of nowhere and just snatched his soul, his YouTube soul away, and had no priors. That should be scary to anyone that makes content on the internet, I would say. But I do disagree that this sets a precedent. I would argue this precedent got set a year ago, with Gokanaru's video on H3H3 getting taken down for the same reason Leafy just lost his channel: targeted harassment, bullying, threats. And then it happened again with Ian's content cop on Leafy: targeted harassment, bullying, threats, taken down. Neither of those got reinstated. Those stayed down. I would say that's when the precedent was set. YouTube showed that it's kind of Weenie Hut Jr. when it comes to anything it views as a potential targeted harassment campaign or threat against a creator. Now, to be fair, I understand this is a bit of a special case with Leafy in particular, because he made 12 fucking videos milking Pokimane. I don't mean actually grabbing on her nipples and milking her, lactating. I mean, he milked this fucking controversy that he started on Pokimane. He had 12 videos insulting Pokimane in the title, laughing at her in the title, using degrading thumbnails to insult her. And I understand the content of all 12 of those videos wasn't solely focused on Pokimane. They were mainly financial rants and shit like that. But still, having 12 videos all insulting Pokimane in the title and thumbnail, that's viewed as harassment by YouTube. And to be fair, that's literally textbook harassment. Of his last 15 videos, 12 of them were on Pokimane. Only 3 videos that I can remember, I can't double check, but I think I remember it was only 3 videos in 2 months weren't talking shit on Pokimane in the title and thumbnail. So I think it's pretty obvious why YouTube viewed that as a harassment campaign. But what's surprising to me, and probably everyone else, is the fact that they didn't issue just 1 strike for this whole ordeal, the whole Pokimane thing. They issued individual strikes for each offense. And even if they only used half of his Pokimane videos, that's still 6 strikes all at once. If they used a third, that's 4 strikes. If they used a fourth, that's 3 strikes. All of them terminate his account. And that's pretty fucking wild. He went so far above and beyond the norm when it comes to milking internet drama that he made it impossible for himself to survive this new harassment policy they implemented. Now, do I think he's going to get his YouTube account back? I really have no idea. It's impossible to know for sure, but one thing I can say for sure is a lot of these commentary channels and just general audience are pretty fucking stupid. There's a lot of people accusing Pokimane and Ethan of getting Leafy's channel taken down. Ethan because he had a recent animation in one of Leafy's videos where Ethan's wife kills herself by jumping off a cliff or something, which again falls into that category of the threats thing that YouTube doesn't like, that they got Gokanaru for. But I can tell you right now, Pokimane and Ethan had absolutely no fucking hand in that whatsoever. Now, I'm not their lawyer or anything, I'm not going to be like their Saul Goodman or anything, but I can say with a high level of certainty that there is not a single YouTube creator, not T-Series, not PewDiePie, that can go to YouTube and tell them how to enforce rules on their platform. They don't take any of that seriously. There is nobody that can go to YouTube and say, I want action taken against this and that, and YouTube would listen. That just doesn't happen. And I can say that with confidence because with our company, Human Media Group, we actually have a direct line to YouTube now. And, you know, like my boy George, I've been curious, I've been inquisitive, I've been asking, like, some actual shit that I've wanted to know for a long time to unravel the mystery of YouTube. And one thing I've learned is they don't give a fuck what a creator says to them. They want to stay as hands off of things on their platform as possible. So, if Ethan or Pokimane really did have a problem with all of Leafy's content, they would have to go through proper legal channels through a lawyer to have any action taken on YouTube's part, where it'd have to be an official document, lawyer, from court, everything that tells them it has to be taken down or the channel has to go online. YouTube would not do that on their own because of a legal nightmare. And I totally believe that because YouTube's a pretty soulless corporation. They're not going to really give a fuck who's coming at them asking them to take down or, you know, be the hall monitor for YouTube drama. They don't give a fuck about that. They want to stay everything as hands-off as possible and as automated as possible. So I'm pretty confident when I say no YouTube content creator has ever had a role to play in a channel being taken down like Leafy's here, unless it was through proper legal means and like a lawsuit, which I don't think happened overnight. You might as well just start accusing the Boogeyman of being the one that took down Leafy, or Slenderman or something. It'd make about as much sense as saying Ethan or Pokimane had that power. Now, just to kind of circle back on why I think content creators are dumb to celebrate Leafy's termination, well, it's because, yeah, while Leafy's was a pretty extreme case where there was so many videos targeting one person, the fact that YouTube took action this quickly without warning is a scary thing to see going forward, because maybe the definition of harassment starts to get a little more vague and a little more blurred, and you don't really know what starts to classify as harassment or targeted threats or bullying or whatever, and that's when it becomes very muddy. There needs to be very clear rules and clear action taken with transparency, so that way you can avoid something like Leafy's ban being possibly the gateway to banning a whole lot of other shit that's a lot more innocent and not as on the nose as, you know, fucking more than 10 videos on something, you know what I mean? Now, do I think his channel needed to be taken down? No, I don't think so. I never support censorship in any of its forms. I think you guys know that about me. I think that's just a super fucking slippery slope. Once you start censoring things, it's stupid to think that it's only going to be used against things you don't like. Everything can be subject to the same treatment, even the innocent shit. It's just a very bad thing going forward. So I don't think his channel needed to be taken down. I'm not a big fan of Leafy's content either. I'm not looking for fucking financial advice or to see the same drama stretched out over 2 months. So I'm not a huge fan of his content, but I don't like to see a channel banned like that. Now, I do understand YouTube has a rule on harassment, and you can argue he broke that rule, so that should have been a strike. But I don't think it should have been a strike for each instance of the potential rule break. It should have been one strike for that entire thing, and maybe give him a warning like, look, this is harassment, don't do it again going forward, you know? You know, hit the brakes a little bit. But that didn't happen. You see, you could extend this harassment here to pretty much every late-night TV host. A reoccurring theme in late-night hosts is insulting Donald Trump. Couldn't you make that same argument that they target Donald Trump just the same way Leafy did for Pokimane? And they've done a lot more than just 12 segments shitting on him. That could realistically apply to the harassment rule, right? But you wouldn't want to see the late-night shit taken down for that reason. You might want to see it taken down because the hosts are really fucking boring these days and the content of the late-night shows is terrible, but you wouldn't want to see it taken down because they make a bunch of jokes about somebody. That's just a dangerous thing. That's a very dangerous thing. I just don't understand how content creators of all people can't see why that's dangerous for them as a fucking content creator, because it's so vague. You don't know how it's going to be enforced going forward. You don't know where it's going to lead, and I just think it's very silly to celebrate something like that. even if you fucking hate Leafy. So yeah, really, that's just about it. Just wanted to answer all these questions because I've already been getting a ton of them, and I figured might as well just talk about it as soon as possible before I just get flooded by more questions to talk about it. So that's about. Call me AOL because I'm delivering news that I'm sure you already know. Netflix is struggling. I'm sure you've seen the numbers. Year to date, their stock is down over 60%. But more specifically, over the last week, they've really fallen off a cliff. Just got fucking kicked right down that giant well in 300. They went down 37% in a week. So a lot of people are asking the question, is Netflix dying? And that stock graph is looking like a heartbeat monitor about to flatline. It's not looking good. That shit's looking like Blockbuster back in the day. And a lot of people are wondering, well, what could be the cause for this incredible decline so rapidly? And naturally, everyone's turning to me to answer these questions, since I am the preeminent expert on all things shitty movie and TV show related. I have a genuine passion for horrible media, whether that be horrible games, movies, music, shows, whatever. I just love watching and consuming the worst of the worst. Things that turn other people's stomachs, make them puke, cry, and question the existence of God. I get a big smile on my face and a wet spot in my trousers. I just really enjoy it. So when people saw this happening to Netflix, they were wondering my opinion on it. Is it because all of the terrible shows and movies Netflix keeps funding? And in my expert opinion, and it pains me to do this, I'm going to have to diagnose Netflix with shitty content disease. But it doesn't mean it's terminal yet. Netflix has been funding basically anything made by someone with a pulse. And even that seems to be spotty. It feels like they're funding scripts written by fucking AI. They have a catalog of actual dog shit shovelware. Like, you remember DOSBox ROMs back in the early internet where it was just actual 30-second games that were just being uploaded to the ROM sites that were almost unplayable? That's Netflix right now. They're just this giant cum dumpster of almost unwatchable movies and shows. And it's things nobody is asking for. But they're putting a lot of money into making them for some reason. Like, they'll drop like 50 new originals on like a single weekend, be like, hey, new on Netflix, Netflix presents The Poop That Took a Pee. And then they'll be scratching their heads like, oh, why is no one watching that one? We put a lot of money into that production. That's so weird. Why is no one watching this? It just shows that no one would ever even think to watch that Netflix is funding. Now, I want to make it clear, I don't think bad content is solely responsible for the decline of Netflix right now in terms of their stock price and all of that. I definitely think it contributes because as things get more expensive, because things are absolutely getting more expensive in our world, the first thing that people are going to cut is a service like Netflix. You know, Netflix is just a luxury to have, and it's an expensive one. It's $25 a month. So as the cost of living goes up, people aren't going to be able to justify subscribing to Netflix anymore when they're not even putting out content that they want to watch in the first place. And especially with so much competition right now, Hulu, HBO Max is kind of killing it. Even Crunchyroll slash Funimation to a certain degree, since anime is so big on streaming, and Netflix is doing a horrible job with their anime catalog with like JoJo's Part 6, God rest its soul. I know everyone's upset about that. Netflix cannot get anything right. Fucking JoJo's Part 6 has been divided up into like part releases where they released 12 episodes a few months back, and they still haven't released the next set of episodes for some inexplicable fucking reason, and they had the audacity to hype up, hey, good news, JoJo's Part 6 Part 2 might come out in 2022. Woo-hee-haw! Getting sidetracked, but competition, you know, Crunchyroll, Funimation, Disney Plus. Disney Plus kind of slapping them around right now since they took all of like the Marvel shows and everything, which people are just going to idly binge forever on that service. So the thing is, Netflix just has a lot to compete with now, and the content they keep funding isn't shit that people want to watch. So their originals don't keep them there, and Netflix has really been bled dry when it comes to shows that people love, the like beloved classics. All of those have gone to other streaming platforms, so Netflix is left with just like the worst of the worst. So I definitely think that does contribute, you know, just not having any of those classic shows anymore for people to just want to watch on Netflix. Those have all gone elsewhere, while also not providing any new originals, and then still increasing the monthly subscription price is just a recipe for disaster. They've been increasing the price but decreasing the quality of content on the service. It's just really ass backwards right now. I just think they're not really sure what to fund, so they just fund everything anyway, even if it's like a student project by a 9-year-old or some shit like that, and then hope that one of them sticks. So they'll get the occasional banger like Squid Game or Arcane, but for every Squid Game and Arcane, there were 1,000 Bruise Brothers and other shows that no one has ever heard of. So yeah, the quality of content hasn't been amazing, and that's surely contributed to a lot of people deciding, like, I can't really justify paying $20 a month for Netflix anymore, I'll just cancel it and stick with one of the other services. I do think that's a contributing factor. And another thing I want to just say, and I don't know how much of an effect this has, but I really feel like this whole binge model that Netflix is still just living and dying on, which is where they dump an entire season of a show all at once, is just so fucking dumb. The binge model was cool in the early days where it's like, wow, I get to watch my favorite show that I remember when I was a kid all at once. I don't have to like wait week by week. Or even like a new show, like, wow, all of it's out all at once. But now the novelty, I think, is completely worn off. I much prefer a weekly release of a show. And on Netflix, Arcane proved it could work. It's so much more fun and engaging to watch a show week by week because then everyone's at the exact same pace. You get to discuss it with friends, family, even online, because everyone is at the exact same pace. So you can talk about what might happen next, come up with fan theories and speculate, and it's just a lot more fun to engage with the content that way, as opposed to the binge model where they drop all 12 episodes all at once, and then you'll have some people call out work the next day in order to finish it all in one night, and then you can never really talk about it with anyone because everyone's at different places in the content. Example, Stranger Things Season 3. Third season of Stranger Things was very good, but they dropped all the episodes all at once, so some people finished it in one day, some people in 1 week. So everyone was at different places in the show, and no one ever really talked about it. When Stranger Things dropped, there was a lot of hype, and then within like 2, maybe 3 days, no one was talking about Stranger Things Season 3. It just faded from everyone's memory. Whereas something like Arcane, which was on Netflix, people were talking about the entire run. Every single episode, every drop was trending on Twitter with people talking about it. It just gets people more invested in it. When you're able to discuss it with other people, it just makes it more fun. I just think that whole binge model is really counterintuitive to engagement, as well as keeping people on Netflix. I think it's really fucking stupid, to be honest. Like, you're bleeding out. So you take your best shows and release them all at once. People finish them in one day, and then what's their incentive to stay on there? They'll have to wait another 6 months when you accidentally find another good show to fund. You know, like, why would they continue to pay for it that long? Whereas when it comes to a weekly release, Netflix does get lucky. They have another huge show like Squid Game, and they release it week by week. And then they get some people to stay longer because they're invested in that show. Like, it all just makes more sense to just do weekly releases, even just from a business standpoint. But yes, I do agree that the quality of the Netflix content hasn't been great. They've been pumping out a lot of net shits recently, and a lot of people are probably just not bothering to re-up a subscription. But Netflix is cracking down in what I believe to be the wrong area. They're just blaming everyone for password sharing, which is a legitimate problem from a business standpoint. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people share passwords. I myself am getting Netflix from Tiana's account. Everyone shares the passwords to their Netflix. So there is a lot of unpaying Netflix viewers. So that is a lot of money left on the table for them, but it's such a tricky problem for them to navigate, because if you really come down with an iron fist, just flop your meat on the table and like villainize anyone that's ever shared a password, it's going to make it a headache to continue using the platform. So most people just won't even bother, and since there's so many alternatives, they'll just go somewhere else. So them cracking down on password sharing is going to be a really tight rope to walk. I know they've tossed around the idea of doing like a really cheap Netflix subscription that has ads with it. For people that don't want to pay the full $20 but still want to watch the content, they could do a cheap alternative but getting some ads there. Maybe that's a decent solution. I don't really know. It's not like an unheard of one. I know other services offer that. I just don't know how successful they are in that area. But again, cracking down on password sharing, like, throw these people in the slammer, they shared their password with too many people, I want them fucking arrested, and like making it really like a cutthroat policy is only going to serve to damage Netflix further. So they have to really come up with like a consumer-friendly option to get people who are sharing passwords to instead pay a little bit to continue watching the content, and I don't know how the fuck they're going to pull off that balancing act. But I do think perhaps the best solution for hemorrhaging so many subscribers is just by offering better content. This is quite literally like that Twitter meme of make better content or I'm unsubscribing. That is actually happening to Netflix right now. The price of everything in the world is getting more expensive. Netflix is expensive, and most people aren't going to want to spend $20 a month for shit where they might get one good show twice a year. That's just not worth the cost. So the best thing they can do is just improve with what they're putting on the platform. And another thing that not a lot of people have mentioned is Netflix's numbers were heavily inflated because of COVID. When COVID hit, everyone went to subscribing to streaming platforms because everyone was locked at home watching shows and movies and shit like that. Now that everyone's getting back into like a normal routine in the real world, all those people are starting to cancel these subscriptions. So the numbers just got like really inflated. So maybe this is just equalizing and it's totally normal. Can't really say for sure, but what I can say for sure is Netflix has so much garbage on it that no one really wants to watch, while only ever providing a couple of good shows a quarter. So that, I think, is a big problem for them, and the competition's getting fierce. So I just wanted to talk about this a little bit because it's an interesting topic, I think. I always find it very fascinating when there's a company that's too big to fail starting to fail. I don't think Netflix is in any danger of closing its doors anytime soon. They still have like 220 million active subscribers, so they are still very much in the game. It's just a matter of them having a bit of a stumble here, and by a bit of a stumble, I mean they're fucking spiraling down a dirty toilet. 65% year-to-date loss in the stock is kind of rough, but they're still fine overall. I don't think they're in any danger of dying anytime soon. So I just wanted to talk about it. That's about it. See ya.